Coming up on the Cam Show, Drake Maye looked good. I have car troubles, and so might the Boston Bruins. Plus guys naming dudes. All that and a little bit more on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. It is the Cam Show. It is Rogue Media Sports Network. We are fully in the preseason now. 2 weeks done of preseason football. Patriots lose to the Eagles. Who could have saw that coming? I never understand why a team runs 2-point conversions in the preseason. I feel like you really only need like 2 or 3 of those really dynamite 2-point plays. I'm not sure why you're putting it on tape in the preseason. I don't get when teams do that. I don't get why when teams do fakes. I don't get it. But the Eagles did it, and they got a gut check victory in Foxborough. So it was all worth it, I'm sure. But obviously, we don't really care about the results of the preseason games. In fact, not even the coaches are really caring about the results of the preseason games. You can take away from some of the stuff that's in it, and obviously the joint practices as well, which we've talked a lot about this week, which have been abysmal for the Patriots and their quarterbacks and offensive line. Last night, it looked like the continuation of that. Jacoby Brissett was awful. A quarterback rating of 0. A pick in the end zone, 3 for 10. He was dreadful. Bring in Drake Maye. You knew he was going to get more snaps in this game. He plays. It ends up being almost a half. Really a quarter plus. Drake Maye looks pretty good. Looks pretty solid out there. And did not look like he was rushing anything. The offensive line looked better, not good. In fact, when you saw Joe Milton in the game, at the end of the game, it looked pretty bad. And Bailey Zappi, too, in that final drive. Which, I'm still trying to figure out how much they're showing Bailey Zappi in this preseason. Because part of me thinks, why use anything? Why use him at all? He's not going to be on this roster. They've seen, teams have seen him on tape in real NFL regular season games. Why put him out there? But then the flip side of it is, well, you are really trying to get rid of him. So why not put some more on tape and see what this kid can do? If you're going to protect your rookie quarterbacks, why not? But then again, back to the original flip side, just use Milton instead. Which they kind of did, but they put Bailey Zappi out there to finish the game, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty. This is interesting. I have a box score that says completion to attempts and only has 1 number, so that's terrific. Can't pull up a box score. Okay. All right. Drake Maye did have the touch in this game. I thought he had some good deep balls down the field. Whether they're going to get completed or not, I guess we'll see, because they didn't get completed last night, and I don't think that was his fault. There was one down the sideline to, I think it was Javon Baker, where Baker couldn't stay in bounds. That's on the receiver. And it ends up being an incompletion, but it's a perfect ball down the sideline, about 30 yards down the left sideline, with not a lot of room to throw it into. He has another one to Baker in the second quarter. That's, again, about a 30, 40-yard bomb down the middle of the field, where Baker is not running free, way wide open. There's a window there, and Drake Maye puts it on the money. Perfect throw. Baker doesn't come up with it. He's got to extend a little bit. It's probably one he should come up with. He doesn't come up with it. But that throw was perfect. It's exactly the throw you were looking for when you drafted him with the 3rd overall pick in the 2024 draft. That throw right there. He's going to have some misses. He had some misses in college. He's had them in the joint practices. He didn't really have them in this game. I didn't see a bad miss from Drake Maye in this game. And another impressive play he had on that touchdown drive was to my guy, JaMychal Hasty from Baylor. It was a second down, I think, not a third down, but he goes to about his fourth option, which is JaMychal Hasty on a screen, and everyone's running routes in the end zone while they're at the 30-yard line. JaMychal Hasty gets a screen and runs it down inside the 10 for a goal-to-go situation. He has a big third down conversion on his first drive with a bullet. I think that was also to Baker, by the way. Javon Baker, that's the guy who should be getting the most targets. An absolute bullet to him on a third down with, again, not a huge window. That is something that Mac Jones couldn't overcome. And I don't even really necessarily blame Mac Jones a lot for that. He was what he was. At Alabama, it was the same thing. He didn't have a rocket for an arm. He's great at beating zone coverages. And the Patriots had receivers. The Patriots had receivers who could not get separation. And so you play a man defense on them. They can't get separation. Mac couldn't thread that needle. Drake Maye has the ability to thread that needle. Whether he's going to do it day in, day out, that's going to take some time and remains to be seen. But he's got the arm to do that. So already, while Mac had a good rookie year and might well be a better rookie year than Drake Maye has, it's easier to defend against Mac than it is against Drake Maye if all goes well. And that's what he showed you in this game last night, I think. That he's got a rocket for an arm, and he could fit it through those windows. Decision-making was fine in this game. He has a touchdown, a rushing touchdown in this game, and goes 6 for 11 for 47 yards. So, I'm not saying he has one of the great performances of all time. Okay, 6 of 11 for 47 yards. But he delivered two pretty damn good deep balls that were not caught. So then all of a sudden we go, instead of 6 of 11, it's 8 of 11, and it's for 104 yards with a rushing touchdown, and there are no picks. That doesn't look that bad. And I don't think he got sacked in the game. I don't have that in front of me. But I don't think he got sacked in the game. Jacoby Brissett, again, 3 of 7 for 17 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. What I found interesting most about this, Jerod Mayo said after the game, if Drake Maye is our best option at quarterback, if Drake Maye is better than Jacoby Brissett, he's going to start. There's nothing written in stone from the Patriots standpoint that says Jacoby Brissett is going to start. If he stinks, he's not going to start. And he stunk last night. He was the worst quarterback on the field for the Patriots of the 4 they ran out against the Eagles. So status check, I'm hearing if Drake Maye is better than Jacoby Brissett, he's going to start. Well, Drake Maye was better than Jacoby Brissett. He was. And I think this Patriots staff is putting themselves in a difficult position. And in a weird way, it's a good problem to have because that means Drake Maye is playing well. And the first time we really get to see him, we saw him drop back 3 times in that first game. But the tough position they're putting themselves in is they bring in a guy like Brissett, they pay him, he's a veteran, and they say, this is our starting quarterback, he's the most pro-ready, we've got a guy who was a project at the number 3 overall pick, we're going to ease him into this. And then there's the silver linings of having a shit offensive line. You look out there in practice and say, well, this offensive line is so bad, we can't start Drake Maye. It's a good thing we have Jacoby Brissett. And that we can take time to develop Drake Maye to become a pro quarterback. Well, last night, Drake Maye looked like the pro quarterback. Jacoby Brissett did not. He did not look like the wily veteran who's going to 10-2 and get you in the driveway and get you a couple touchdowns to win a game with a top 5 defense. He didn't look like that at all. Drake Maye looked like someone you could roll out there at some point here in the early parts of the season. If not, dare I say, week 1. Because if there's another performance like the 2 that these guys had, If there's another performance in this preseason week 3 where Jacoby Brissett is out there and he sucks and Drake Maye is making some progress, Drake Maye could start week 1. That would not be surprising to me. But you're still in this tough place because the offensive line still isn't good. It's still a death mission to send out a kid with that offensive line who hasn't played the pro game, and it's a little bit faster than college. It is a death march with that offensive line. I am of the belief that if Drake Maye is ready to play in a game, let's see it. Let's see him. I don't want to be one of those guys that says, put him out there no matter what, see what you got. Because I think we have seen how bad that can backfire. Mac Jones had a good rookie year. Second year, you're still in hey, you're still a young guy. You still need to progress. And in that second year where progression was needed, he was thrown to the wolves with a bad offensive line and a bad offensive coordinator. 2 bad offensive coordinators. And it ruined his career. And we see it all the time. Zach Wilson, that kid was not ready for pro football. Ruined his career. Sam Darnold, to use another Jets example, we thought he was ready, looked ready, didn't have a team around him that was ready, and it ruined his career. He's still bouncing around, but he's not the number 6 overall pick and what they thought he was going to be. And there's so many of these. Trey Lance wasn't ready, and he did get hurt as well. Didn't play enough college football. You could argue that with Drake Maye. But Trey Lance, career ruined, is thrown out there. Some guys thrive with it. Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert. But not all of them do. You look at that 2021 quarterback draft class, 5 guys in the top 15, only one of them has gotten a second deal with the team that drafted him. The others were traded before year 3, year 4. That's insane. Wilson and Justin Fields. You want to talk about a guy whose team wasn't ready? Justin Fields. Mac Jones. It's not all about whether the guy is ready. It's about whether he is ready and whether the team is ready. And there's a low bar for the team being ready. And I don't think the Patriots meet that very low bar. But yeah, this performance last night gave me hope that we could see Drake Maye earlier in the season than I thought. It's hopeful because he looked good. It's also not great because Jacoby Brissett looked that bad. When will we see Drake Maye? God, I can't wait to ask that question for another couple of weeks. Anyway, the Bruins had a busy summer. We haven't talked about it yet, but Pavel Zacha talked about it this week, and I'm trying to find the optimism that some Bruins fans have, and I'm struggling. That's coming up next on The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. We are a few weeks away here from Bruins training camp opening at Warrior Ice Arena, and I find the hockey offseason so fascinating because, like basketball, but to an even lesser extent, the hockey offseason and the news cycle around it is 2 days at the beginning of July. Like basketball, it is that way too in terms of free agency, obviously, and it's big, big, big news in the NBA around the first 2 or 3 days of July, and then back again once training camp starts. You start to see some deals and teams going for it. We saw last year, in fact, the Celtics got Drew Holiday the day training camp started, which was obviously a few days after the Damian Lillard trade. So big stuff does kind of creep up again. We've seen the NBA schedule come out, and that's big news. And the NHL is not that. It's a couple of days at the same time, beginning at end of June, beginning of July for free agency, and then they're on the golf course. And that is explaining, hopefully, why Jeremy Swayman is still unsigned. Oh, man. He was on EEI yesterday, Jimmy Fund Radio Telethon, and of course he gets asked about his contract situation. And I think we're all wondering. I've tried to be patient about it. I did a video on it during like the kind of heat of free agency in the beginning of July and saying, why hasn't this happened yet? They've got the cap space. And then once you get into that second, third week of July, it's like, okay, we might not hear about this for a while. Everyone goes out of town. The hockey world stops. No one's signing anybody right now, right? So we might not see anything. But we're a few weeks away from training camp. So a month or so for training camp. And where is this deal for Jeremy Swayman? I'm getting worried. Bruins fans are getting worried, but Swayman isn't. He sounds okay. He was talking, he was on EEI, and he said, I got the quote here, there's a lot of confidence. I say that because I've treated it like business as usual this year. I've been at Warrior Ice Arena, working out with our guys, staff, players. I just know there's something special building in the locker room this year, and I can't be more excited about that. I know it's going to take care of itself with time, and all I can do is control how I'm going to be a better goalie for the Boston Bruins this year. That's what I'm focused on, and I know, again, it will work out. I couldn't be happier to be a Bruin. We can't be happier either if you decide to stay with the Bruins, Jeremy, because that's what we're all hoping for. And maybe this is the homer in me. I see a star goalie growing up before our eyes in Jeremy Swayman. In 22-23, he had a pretty damn good year. It just so happened that his goalie partner, Linus Ullmark, was great and won the Vezina. And they won the Jennings together. And then we get to see him get a little bit more of the starts. I think he had 2 more starts than Ullmark and was eventually the playoff starter in 23-24. And he had a better season than Ullmark and had this incredible postseason. I mean, again, we're talking about a 25-year-old. He has not entered his prime yet. And for goalies, sometimes the prime starts even later. It's a position of late bloomers, both in hockey and in soccer. And we saw just this heroic performance in the postseason. It will get lost to history because the Bruins didn't do anything. They lost in the second round. It's not like they went to the Stanley Cup final or won it. So it will get lost to history. But my God, he was outstanding. A .933 save percentage in the 12 games that they played. Ullmark did play 1 in rotation. And then after that loss in Game 2 to Toronto, even though Ullmark was fine, they said, actually, we really need this to be Swayman. Swayman's just that good. We need it to be Swayman. And you'll see why. Because his 13.3 goals saved above expected. Again, that's goals saved above expected. He had 13.3 goals saved above expected, and that led all goalies during the Stanley Cup playoffs. All of them. They went out in the second round, and he had the best money saves of anyone in the postseason. He had the most saves on shots that were supposed to be goals. And this is a good defense core, right? It didn't play all that well in the postseason. McAvoy was a shell of himself. Hampus Lindholm didn't give you a lot outside of that Game 7 against Toronto and Game 1 against Florida. There was odd man rushes up and down the ice against the Bruins, and Swayman was incredible. And now you have put your eggs in the Swayman basket. You traded Ullmark. The time is now. That's what I'm so confused about. I know most of the league hits the golf course, but you just got rid of your other goalie. You've got $9 million in cap space. That's enough to give Swayman the raise that he's looking for. I mean, we're talking $8 million a year. He is worth that from what we have seen so far. You have developed him. He has been a damn good NHL goalie the last 2 seasons. He was money in the playoffs last year, and he's still only 25. So I get it. The rest of the league is on vacation, but it's just you and Swayman. Make it happen. What? You've already shown your hand. You traded your other goalie. Jonas Korpisalo is not going to be your starting goaltender. In fact, I don't even think you should play a third of the games. I'd be fine with Bussy as the backup and find some sort of suitor for Korpisalo. But to not have Swayman signed yet, to me, is still, it's getting close to an aberration for me. Andrew Raycroft, who is, Nesson, EEI, Bruins expert, former goalie himself, he said no level of concerns, but no updates. I haven't heard a thing. He goes on to say, everybody's gone. The hockey world, everybody. Since July 7th, when that development camp shuts down, last one in the league, everyone's gone. He said there's no reason for fans to be worried until September. September 1, maybe you could start thinking about it. And even then, they still have 2 weeks. September 1 is 2.5 weeks away. I'm starting to think about it, Andrew. Razor, I'm starting to think about it. Because the one thing that has been so consistent about the Bruins, for real, since I've been watching, almost 20 years now, goaltending. They have had the best, steadiest run of goaltending in that time frame in the NHL, in the New York Rangers, with Lundqvist and Shesterkin. But I've seen 4 Vezina Trophy wins by 3 different goalies since 2009, 15 years, 4 Vezina Trophies. Thomas won twice. Tuukka won it in 2014. Ullmark won it in 2023. Bob Essenza, best goalie coach in the league. No ifs, ands, or buts. They've always had depth in it. The last few years, they've had 2 of the top 10 or 12 goalies in the league on the roster. When they won the Cup, they had Timmy and Tuukka. In 2013, they had Tuukka and a budding Anton Khudobin. You know what I mean? So they've always had a great goalie tandem. That has been the mainstay of this franchise for the last 15 years, and specifically the last 2 regular seasons, which have been pretty damn successful. You look at that roster and you say, really? That team? That team set the wins and points record and then was pretty damn good the next year too? Like, you look at this roster, you look at that line chart from this 24 team, and you're like, boy, golly, how the hell did this team win a playoff series? How did they beat a team in Toronto with the core 4? How did they beat a team with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and Nylander and Tavares? How did they beat them? Number 1, baby, Jeremy freaking Swayman. That's how the Bruins got to where they got to. That is how they pushed the eventual champion Florida Panthers to 6 games, because they were not nearly as good. Jeremy Swayman is that guy. And again, this was not 2 playoff series. This has been two full years. There's no reason to believe that Jeremy Swayman is not a top-tier goalie in this league and just becoming one. No reason to believe that he's not that. I know it's not like quarterback in football, but goalie in hockey, you need to have that locked up. You need to. You look at the best teams around the league, they have got the goaltending position locked up. You look at the Oilers, who just made the finals. The reason they hadn't been there before with Connor McDavid mainly is because of the goaltending situation. It hasn't been great. And I don't know, Stu Skinner, hit or miss, very good postseason. But they got him hot, and that's how they got there. You look at the champs, Sergei Bobrovsky, Hall of Famer. Shesterkin led the Rangers to the President's Trophy. He was a big reason why. The Stars have been one of the best regular season teams and made a couple playoff runs the last few years. They got Jake Ottinger, got one of the best goalies in the league. This is your foundational goaltending piece. You have the money to sign him. The cap is going to go up in a few years. Sign him now. That's going to be a bargain bin deal when the top 6 or 8 goalies in the league are making $10 million AAV when the cap goes up. That's a real possibility. And you can get him for 8 right now. He would be in the top 5 highest paid goalies in the league, but he's 25, and in a year or 2, he could be very much a top 5 goalie in the National Hockey League. Let's get it done. Let's also have guys named dudes. That's next on The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. It is Friday, and it is a segment we like to call Guys Naming Dudes, where we talk about the players, the heroes that the streets remember. And hopefully you do too. Braden Murray alongside me. Just Braden and I today.
Mm-hmm.
We're down. We are down, but not out. Our pal Zach, our producer Zach.
Yeah, we're down 33%.
Yeah. He's been sick. We're hoping the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
Braden, you've got a big doctor's appointment coming up. That's good. I have a feeling that's gonna be part of Braden's brain next week. Not that.
Well, I won't be here next week, remember?
Oh, that's right. We're gonna have to find something.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a report somehow, an update from Braden. Because the people will be wondering. But so yeah, this is big. This is our last fully intact Guys Naming Dudes for a while.
Yeah.
That we know of. I mean, we're gonna do our best to get you in there and
because school
have
starts
you talk about dudes.
2 weeks, week and a half.
You young buck, still in school. Anyway, Guys Naming Dudes. Braden.
Yes.
Who you got? Who do we need to pay homage to this week? Who do we need the people to know about?
So my guy, my dude, sorry.
Thank you.
Is a 28-year-old.
Okay.
French football player.
Okay. First soccer player of the Guys Naming Dudes era. What a moment. The Pochettino talk yesterday really got you into this.
Let me explain why I know this guy before I start to explain who he is.
Okay. I'm saying, I said to you off camera, soccer can actually lend itself to a lot of dudes because there's such an overreaction complex in that sport for some reason that there's a lot of like bright stars shine brightly, not for very long.
Right.
So I love this.
I think that this guy fits your description perfectly.
Oh, yes.
But in FIFA 17, FIFA 18 or so, there was a story mode that was called The Journey, where you played as some young English football player who rises from the ranks of nothing to Champions League winner or whatever. And there was a lot of discussion about who he was actually based on, this character Alex Hunter. And one of these characters, one of the supposed inspirations is this dude. So he started out playing for Lyon. He was transferred to Monaco in 2013 for $6 million. And then in 2015, he signed with Man United. Yeah.
Okay. He was very young when he transferred to Man
United
still.
This was a decade ago, and he's only 28 now.
Oh, God. I think I know who this is.
It was for an initial fee of $36 million and $21.6 million in potential bonus payments, making it the highest fee paid for a teenager in football history at the time.
All right, I'm going to throw out a guess.
Okay.
And it's going to be spectacular. So if I'm wrong, it'll be very funny.
Okay.
Welcome to Manchester United, Anthony Martial!
That's it. Yeah.
Never seen Martin Tyler so excited because he's a big United fan.
I remember that.
He scored his first goal against Liverpool.
He scored 23 times in the 2019-2020 season, and he was like the Manchester United players MVP. And then he fell off after that, is what his Wikipedia says.
Yeah. Stiff. Just total stiff after that.
Yeah.
He is one of the poster children. Honestly, not a ton because he has stunk for so long now. But what I think of him as is like this. He's one of the poster children of this post-Fergie United drop-off. And he's obviously way post-Fergie. I mean, well, not way. That's 2 years after. But they have just not had good recruiting, and they have had a lot of undisciplined young players. And it's Martial, it's Paul Pogba, it's Mason Greenwood, and the skeletons in that closet. Jesse Lingard was another one who never really hit the potential that they felt he had. And the only one who's kind of beaten it is Marcus Rashford, but he's got his own problems, and he's been a very streaky striker the last few years. And he's probably about the same age as Martial. I'll bet he's 28 or so, still should be in his prime. And he never quite hit the full potential that they were looking for. And it's just one after the other for these Man United guys. And it is just, they've been a joke. I mean, they've been a joke since Fergie left. They've had a couple of second place finishes, none that were really close to the champions. They and Anthony Martial is one of those that was like the next hyped player by Man United fans, Man United Twitter. And it was like, Liverpool can't attract these guys. Arsenal can't sign these guys. Oh, this is the Man United call. When Man United calls, this is the Ole pull. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer calls, these guys listen. And in that case would have been Louis van Gaal still, I think, in 2015. It's just they become a punchline year after year after year, and one of the big ones of that is Anthony Martial, and with that comes the many supposed comebacks of these guys.
Yeah,
I was hearing Martial comeback season as early as 2 years ago, recently as 2 years ago, and it was Liverpool signed Darwin Núñez, but we've got Darwin Núñez at home. He's even better. It's Anthony Martial, and it's just complete flop. Did he make it a permanent move? Does it say on Wikipedia permanent move in 20? Must have been 23. Back to France. I know he's loaned out.
Oh, moved back to France?
Yeah, or is it just a loan?
It was
say on there.
It said he was loaned out to Sevilla.
Oh, Sevilla. Sorry, Sevilla. Yes.
But it says he left the club in 2024.
So does that mean he's a free agent right now? He doesn't have a club?
I guess.
He's 28. Good Lord. Man. And United had some flop signings under Fergie, but he was such a good manager, it didn't matter. Man, that is a good, if you had to do a Mount Rushmore of the post Fergie flops at United, he would definitely be on there.
Sorry, he signed. I could say it was a loan.
Yeah,
he played his last game for United on December 9th. In May 27th, he announced that he'll be leaving the club after a 9-year stint at Old Trafford.
So it sounds like he doesn't have a club right now.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And Sevilla didn't want to keep him around. Yeah, Anthony Martial. Martin Tyler was having a stroke when that happened. He fucking loves United. He'll never admit it, but he does. And when Liverpool score, it's literally, I'm not kidding, Braden, in that game. So it was 2-0 United. And in the 80-something minute, Christian Benteke scored this awesome bicycle kick overhead goal. And Martin Tyler's and what a shot that is. Brilliant goal.
Liverpool have scored.
And Liverpool have a lifeline. And a couple minutes later, Martial comes on and scores his first goal for United. Welcome to Manchester United, Anthony Martial! And he's just losing it. Oh, we'll have to put that clip in the show. Good dude. That's a good dude for this sake. You can
hopefully
pull a
he's
lot
a
of
good
Man United
dude.
Guys, huh?
Hopefully he's a good dude too.
Yeah, it's hit or miss with those guys, those United guys. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with him personally. I know the Mason Greenwood stuff. Not great. All right. My dude. Talk about a one-hit wonder. We're sticking with football, but American football.
Okay.
Sorry, Braden. I hate to pull you back to this great country and our real American game. So this guy, he was a true, if you talk about NFL one-hit wonders of my lifetime, this is the one that always comes up. He was a classic underdog story. From Arkansas, played for his hometown team, the Razorbacks, the Hogs, was picked in the 7th round, okay, and played for ultimately 7 years in the league, which is not bad, right, for a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
But he really has this 2-year stint with the Cleveland Browns.
Oh.
Really a 1-year stint. That is off the charts for him, man. He becomes this icon around Cleveland. and people who love the big runners everywhere and gets on the cover of Madden.
Yeah, it's Peyton Hillis.
It's Peyton Hillis.
Okay.
I knew you'd know him, even though it was probably, like a couple of years
Yeah,
before you really
I
started
know him
watching?
because of the Madden curse.
Like the A1 example of that. And he just had a year in 2010.
Yeah, he had a
and
good
gets
year.
on the cover of Madden and is really just never the same again. I don't think ever really made big money, but he comes in. I think he was traded from the Broncos for a 6th-round pick, or with a 6th-round pick for Brady Quinn. So really nothing
Ooh.
for nothing, right? So there's
Yeah.
not a ton of expectations. And he was getting snaps with 4 other running backs: Jerome Harrison, James Davis, Chris Jennings, and Montario Hardesty. You heard of any of those guys?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And his best preseason game, he only ran for 50 yards. And so there's really not a lot of expectations coming into the season until he has this incredible breakout game. Baltimore Ravens, big divisional game. Those two teams hate each other. Art Modell thing. 144 yards on 6.5 yards per carry, and they kicked the crap out of the Ravens. Big deal. Now, the real national coming out party was in week 8. The Browns are coming off a bye week, and all they've got is the best team in the freaking league coming into the dog pound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is the 7-1 New England Patriots. And Hillis goes again, 6.5 yards per carry, 184 rushing yards, and 220 total yards of offense. And they pummeled the Patriots. This is the Colt McCoy-led Browns, beat them by 3 touchdowns. I remember it distinctly. It was 34-14, and that was a great Patriots team that unfortunately lost in the divisional round, incredibly. He was Offensive Player of the Week. And he was the second Cleveland Browns running back to ever do that. In Week 12, Hillis joined Marshall Faulk as the only players to have achieved more than 130 yards rushing, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 60 receiving yards in a single game. How about that for earmarking certain stats to make a record? He rushed for 1,000 yards, and did that with a couple of weeks to spare. It was big time. He was a finalist for the Madden NFL 12 cover vote, so that's the fan vote. He beat Ray Rice.
Okay.
Usually that's the other way around.
That is
Matt Ryan and Super Bowl MVP Aaron Rodgers. And in the final, he beat Michael Vick. 66% of the vote. This was like America was getting behind this guy. It was the hard runner. He's basically a fullback, big country boy from Conway, Arkansas. And it's just never the same again. It's never the same again. And it says the first line in the next season led him to be associated with the Madden curse. But in that 2011 season, trying to get his stats here, he only plays in 10 games, 587 yards after almost 1,200 the year before, and only 3 touchdowns on the year. And from then he's gone. After that, like there's nothing after that. At the end of the year, Hillis stated he wanted to re-sign with the Browns, even willing to offer a hometown discount, but the Browns never made him an offer.
We're good.
1,200 yards the year before, and they didn't
He wasn't even
send him an offer.
a Pro Bowler.
That's incredible. Yeah, I did notice that. That's insane. I mean, I know he was a flash in the pan, and it was a lot of crowd hype, but he was good enough to be a Pro Bowler. 1,200 yards. I mean, anyway, he signs with the Chiefs, bounces around. I mean, Chiefs, Bucks, Giants, and then he's done. He did have a history of concussions and didn't want to kind of retire early enough that he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, as far as NFL football goes, my heart's just not in it anymore, which is sad, which is really sad. There is one thing I do want to point out about Peyton Hillis, too, off the field. Seems like a very good guy, by the way, and this goes to prove that. In January 2023, he was in critical condition after getting injured when he was saving his young niece and son from drowning.
Oh, okay.
He was released out of the hospital after 3 weeks. It would have been a weird, cruel kind of irony there because Ryan Mallett died, former Arkansas great, from drowning. And so these Arkansas guys, they try to save people, man. And he did announce after leaving the hospital he expects to make a full recovery. That's what we know. It's February 2023. He is also, in 2021, made his acting debut in the horror movie The Hunting. Hillis received top billing in the film for this role. Set photos indicated he portrayed a werewolf. Now, I think that's funny because they
didn't even watch the movie.
The movie supposedly came out 3 years ago, and no one from Wikipedia has edited to whether he's actually playing a werewolf. Just that, the pictures on set,
looks like
some werewolf stuff. Received top billing, Peyton Hillis. So, I mean, just talk about a one-hit wonder, like, total, guy that people got behind for 1 year. And it was just never the same again. I wish he'd made a Pro Bowl. I think that would have been, the Pro Bowl is pretty hollow for guys when you're talking about like Hall of Fame and stuff, but that should be something that he should be able to tell his grandkids, Yeah, I did have a great season. I even made the Pro Bowl, Anyway, shout out to Peyton Hillis. Not really a shout out to Anthony Martial. I got nothing for Anthony Martial. Fucking hide it, man. That's Braden Murray. I'm Cam Stewart. I guess enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Colorado this weekend.
Oh.
A very, very quick trip. In fact, tomorrow, Saturday morning, I have a 5 a.m. flight leaving out of Waco. Lord help me. That is Braden. I'm Cam. We'll see you on Monday for the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network.
We are Rogue Media Sports.